Hey everybody, welcome to RefTime, powered by RTS and produced by Coraggio Media. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Crane. We'll be covering rules, plays, points of emphasis, and all things official. Segment of RefTime, everybody. How you doing today? Thanks for joining us. We're in the studio as usual. We have a special guest with us today that, we'll let him tell you about him. So I'm Crane, obviously. We got Tanya here with us. And in the studio with us today, we have the great, the one, the only, the special, Gary Muncy.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. You did that good. You know how to take an introduction.
Exactly.
We don't get that as officials very often, so.
You're right.
Gary, you are a basketball official, or were a basketball official.
Yes, over the hill basketball official now.
What does that mean, over the hill?
It means
Well,
retired.
I'm a little bit past my prime, and but I'm still officiate right in front of my TV in my lounge chair because I can still call fouls, and I can call the big T.
Oh, yeah.
You go.
How many of those do you call a game? Because I think some of the games I watch on TV, there are numerous times I think that should be a technical foul. That's very unsporting.
Yes, it's the game dictates
Yeah.
what you do and how strict you are, and so that kind of calls. We like to let the players set the tempo.
Yeah.
And if they want to play basketball, good, we play basketball.
Right.
If not, we can get tough.
We can officiate
Yeah,
if
we
need
can
to.
we can enforce the rules right down to the nitty gritty. So
I had a game this summer, and a coach got on my last nerve. It was AAU. We won't go into the details of that. And the coach said something to me, and he said something else. I said, Coach, I can start officiating if you need me to. And he goes, what does that even mean? I just looked at him. I said, either going to play basketball or I can officiate. What would you like to do? Do your job, ref. Cool. That's all I wanted to hear. So, Gary, tell us about it. You've been you retired from officiating, and I think we got your name. We were introduced to you by your son, I believe. Is it your son?
no, I don't think it was my son.
Doreen?
It was Doreen.
Doreen.
Okay.
Doreen, yeah.
Are you related to Doreen?
No, my son is dating her.
Okay.
That's
And
right.
that's
Okay,
how
that's what it
that
was,
all
yeah.
came about. And
Yeah.
so, yes.
When we met her, they were so excited. Oh, my dad officiates. You need to get him on the podcast. And I was like, okay, great.
Yeah, my middle son, Brad, is dating Doreen. And
Okay.
so that's how the connection got there.
Well, we're glad to
along the
have
line.
you.
But
And of course you're, we were talking about it a little beforehand. You're kind of a snowbird, but not really, because now you just come back to Fort Wayne to visit
yes.
because it is home base as we,
Yeah, this used to be your home. Born, raised here.
okay.
Went to school here. But since I retired, which I've been retired from my business in '98, and since about '95, we've been about 8 months in Florida and about 4 months up here. So it's worked out great.
So how long did you officiate though, and when did you get started in that?
Yeah, I'll tell you how old I am, like if we get started. But anyhow, I was a high school basketball player. I played for Huntertown, which is no longer in existence. It is now Carroll High School.
Wow.
But,
you
that's
saw the
been-
look on my face. It was called Huntertown?
Huntertown High School.
And
back
now it's
in-
Carroll.
Now it's Carroll. Well, because Huntertown, we had a lot of county schools
Right.
around at that time, back in
Right.
the 50s.
Okay.
And but I was a high school basketball player. Thought I was pretty good. I was cocky, and
You gotta
really
be cocky.
wasn't very good.
You gotta be cocky to play the game. You have to be.
I averaged one technical foul in my whole senior year every game.
Every game.
Every game I had one technical foul. Because I tried to help the officials.
And we appreciate the assistance.
Well, not so much.
Yeah,
Not really.
really. I was a hothead and
You seriously averaged one tech per game?
per game.
In your
Per
senior
game.
year?
Yeah, my senior year. Yeah.
Well, you were a great role model for the younger kids coming up, huh?
Yes. What a role model that is.
What not to do.
Yeah, what not to do.
Okay.
But I was always trying to help the officials, get him off me. They're holding me, watch them. They're calling on my back and they're doing all kinds of things. So, but anyhow, I played. Went to college and on a basketball scholarship to Bowling Green.
Well, then you must have been pretty good there.
Well, but as a freshman, I played on the freshman team. That's when they had freshman teams.
Wow.
You're talking about in
college.
You're talking about in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in college.
But see, most kids can't play in college, so you actually had
Well,
game.
yeah, maybe, but I found out pretty quick I wasn't near as good as I thought I was.
Yeah.
And we had in high school, we had an older official who came to our high school and officiated our scrimmages.
Okay.
Well, I told him he was blind many, many times.
Okay.
And he kept on me, and I said, I hate officials. I don't like them. They're blind as a bat, and so on. And he says, you ought to become an official. I says, no way would I ever be an official. Mm-hmm. He was on me and on me and on me. And after I graduated, he kept on my back pretty heavily. And I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work one game, then I don't want to hear another word out of you. We worked a freshman game, and I came home that night after the game, and I looked in the mirror, and I said, one of these days you're going to get too daggone old to officiate. And you love basketball, so maybe officiating might be the way to stay close to the game. I was hooked. And I did that. So I got my license when I was 18.
Wow.
And we had in the Fort Wayne Officials Association lots of older officials. Mm-hmm. I would go with them to their games. I'd work the reserve game, half with one official, half with the other. And just to get exposure and get a feel for the game, which I already had as a player. But it worked out great. I learned a lot from that. And then I started in the CYO, the Church League, the Independent League, and reserves, and finally worked my way up to varsity and worked high school basketball in Indiana for 19 years, actually. Wow. And then from there, I kind of graduated into small colleges and did high school and small college. And then I was fortunate enough in 1970 to get accepted into the Big Ten.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So that was the coup de grace right there, so to speak.
I was going to ask you what if you had any memories of any highlights. So.
Well, yeah, I did. Of course, you never forget your first game, which was at Michigan State, and it was a non-conference game. But that was exciting to me, something that I experienced Big Ten physicality and the crowd. The crowd was going crazy and so forth. But I was very lucky. But, in officiating, you got to be lucky. You got to be in the right place at the right time. You got to know the right people, so forth. And I was very fortunate to get into the Big Ten.
Now, when you got into the Big Ten, was that just still two-person?
Yes.
Okay.
The first game, the first season was 2 men, and then the coaches went to 3 men about midway in the season.
Oh, okay.
About midway.
What you remember what year that was?
1970.
1970.
70,
wow,
71
so
season.
They went 3-person in college back then?
And then to start the 91 season, they went back to 2 because the coaches says, you guys you can't do it. It's not good. Well, it didn't take them long, but during that 91-92 season, they came back and said, we want 3 officials. It's needed. So much is going on away from the basketball.
You had to give us time to get used to that transition, that system, because
that system. And there was, it's a system just like 2-man.
Yes.
You got 3-man and you rotate and so forth. But yeah, I'm very lucky and got to work in the Big Ten for 22 years. So I quit in 92 and because I had both knees replaced.
Okay.
My running days came to an end. So, but I had a lot of big games, a lot of highlights.
Did you ever get to officiate Bobby Knight?
He came the year after I went into the Big Ten.
Okay.
So I have actually more tenure than Bob Knight. But yes, worked a lot of Indiana games and had about 12, maybe either 12 or 13 Indiana-Purdue games You want to talk about a war?
Oh yeah,
That's a real war.
Bobby Knight and Gene Katie.
Gene Katie.
So did you ref Gene Katie?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I worked, usually, the average schedule, we would work about 30 to 35 conference games.
Okay.
And was working about 2 games a week there. But I also did the Mid-American Conference, which I know you had Steve Skiles on.
Yes.
And Steve was very fortunate, had a great career. But I worked the Mid-American Conference, and I also did a little bit in the Missouri Valley Conference, which is no longer in existence.
Right.
But we got sent out a lot of times to different places. So I got to travel coast to coast, and I got to see the best ball players in the world.
Did your
At
wife travel
college.
with you?
Pardon?
Did your wife travel with you?
Oh, once in a while. We had 3 young little rugrats, and her job was mainly those.
Yeah.
But I got to travel a lot. Got to see the best basketball players in the world. I had the best seat in the house.
Yes,
And the
sir.
best part about it all, I got paid for it.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I loved it.
That's
It's
what we
great.
try to tell the young people, today, because that's
Yes.
one of our biggest goals is to recruit and train young
Yes.
people in officiating. And so, we're always out trying to recruit them. And we're like, just like you said, when you looked in the mirror, you're not going to be able to play forever.
Right.
Amen.
At some point in time,
Amen.
your body is not going to allow you to play, or you're just not going to have that option anymore.
Right.
And so to stay involved in the game, there's so many aspects that they could participate in, and officiating is one of those ways.
Yes, yes. And yes, we need you good young officials. But they're very reluctant to get in because they don't want to take the
They don't want
pressure.
people to yell at them.
Yeah.
You know, it was I got a phone call today from a young man. I forgot his name, but he called. I think I've been trying to recruit him, and he called me up and says, he texted me this morning and said, "Crane, I'm ready to get involved with basketball." So I called him up. We're on the phone for about 40 minutes, and his main thing was, "Well, I think I just want to. I want to just do the stuff out there at Sport One." I said, "AAU?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you can do that." I said, "But it's probably going to be more challenging and better for you to move up to high school." I don't know if I want to be. And he just was adamant about it. He didn't want to move up to high school. And after talking to him, I trying to figure out why. And it's not the people yelling at him. He just thought that he was going to do better financially speaking at Sport One. And I go, "No, that's not the way it works." And I told him, you can go do one high school game, lower level high school game, JV or what have you, and up and get paying what, 65?
Some of the schools are, yeah.
About 60 to 65 bucks. He goes, "Oh." I said, "Now you go out there and do AAU
You got to do 2 or 3 games to
to
make
get
that.
that." Yeah.
How
And
true.
Yeah, and in between getting yelled at by all these people that don't know basketball. So when you were doing the upper level, the college level, what comparisons do you think there were when you did high school compared to that? I'm trying to piece that together and figure out today what kind of changes. So what did you see similarities
Yeah, well,
high
that's
school
a good
to college?
question. As I said, I started in 1970 in the Big Ten, but I was also doing high school. I would do high school on Friday night. Saturday, I'd go to the Big Ten
Right.
or college basketball
Wow, that's
game.
a heck of a transition.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of difference.
Yes.
I mean, the quickness,
Yes.
the aggressiveness, the physicality, it's unexplainable,
Yeah.
really. But it's difference of like night and day. Is basically what it is.
Did you have some high school kids that really thought they had the ability to play on the college
Oh,
level?
I think most high school kids do.
And
That
then
play basketball,
they think.
they think, yeah, I can be a D1 player.
That's what they think.
And
Well, that's what you thought, right?
that's what I thought. Exactly. So it rubbed off on me. Yeah. But
So do you
I
do you feel like you got some payback when you became an official for the way you treated officials?
Well, if they looked at me the wrong way, I was on them pretty heavy. But I talked to the players a lot because I wanted them to know that I was your friend,
All right.
not your opponent.
Right.
Yeah.
And
here to
I
take
want them
care
to
of you.
get on it. And I would talk to him during a free throw or somewhere and say, hey, let's play basketball. Let's don't get so much and so forth. And so anyway, it was a lot of fun. But when I started, I worked freshman, junior high, $5 a game.
What?
$5 a game.
Wow.
I'm going way back now.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
See, I got my license in 1955,
Oh, okay.
and I worked my way up. And in fact,
You
even
got your officiating license in 1955?
1955. You weren't even thought of then.
Nope.
Nope.
Actually,
exactly.
you're right.
It wasn't far off though,
I
but
was born.
But
after
anyway,
that.
and then the high school officials were getting 15. If they worked the varsity game, $15 to $18. No.
so what was the college pay back then?
Well,
D1.
the college pay was usually around 30 to 40. And now that's small colleges.
Right.
When I started in the Big Ten, which was 1970, our game fee was $125 per
Wow.
game.
And that was considered good money.
Oh, I thought I was rich.
Yes.
Really? Yeah.
'Cause what was
we got
the-
expenses on top of that, so forth. But that was big money back then to work that game.
So Gary, what would maybe you don't remember, but what was the cost of living in terms of what people got per hour back then? You remember?
I'm guessing,
typical
but
job,
if you got a job, I worked at a gas station all through high school. I worked for $4 an hour.
So $4 an hour versus you doing a college game for 125. That is big money.
Yes, yeah.
Plus
That's
you're
a big
you're in
difference.
front of the TV, in front of everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you were doing Big Ten, did you also have a full-time job or a business at that
yes.
time?
Yes, I was a teacher for 9 years. I taught at Snyder High School for
That's where my
9
son
years.
graduated from.
And finally one day, the principal called me in his office, Maury Davis. And he looked at me and he pointed his finger at me and he says, "What are you going to be, a school teacher or a referee?" Because I had just gotten into the Big Ten and I might have to leave early because you got to be there
Right.
early. Might have to go to Iowa or Minnesota or wherever. So he pointed his finger at me, and so I went job looking because I wanted to officiate in the Big Ten, as I think most guys in that position would.
Right.
So I got a sales job, and I called on high schools here in northeastern Indiana.
Did you call us Snyder?
Yeah, I called right on Snyder High School. Yeah, Maury Davis. He was around for a few more years, but I worked for a company out of Minnesota by the name of Jostens.
Okay.
I sold high school class rings,
Yeah, I was going to say
yes.
class rings.
graduation announcements, caps and gowns, diplomas,
Wow.
all that good stuff for high
Yeah.
schools. So I set my schedule up accordingly. I would, when school started, boy, I'd bust my butt in the Jostens business till November, Thanksgiving. College season started. I would referee all winter till the NCAAs. Then I'd quit officiating. I'd go back and work real hard the rest of the school year till June. And then June, July, and August, I played golf every day. So, pretty good schedule.
Yeah, pretty
really,
good schedule.
really.
That's
Yeah.
a really good schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, every 3 months it changed, so I like that, the
That's
variety,
nice. That's
so
nice.
forth. But but looking back in officiating, I had a great career. I got to work 10 NCAA tournaments,
Wow.
and the very first one I got to work was in 1979, and I never will forget because they called me and says, "Would you like to work in the NCAA tournament?" Well, who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
That's a hard yes.
That's a hard. Yeah. So he says, well, and I hung up the phone and told my wife, boy, 10, 15 years from now, maybe we'll get to go to the Final Four. That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
So they sent me to Providence, Rhode Island, in my first and second round games. And I got to work 2 games. And then there was 8 officials there, and they all came into the room afterwards, and we had evaluators there from different places that was just there to evaluate the officials. So they looked at us and they said, well, here's the situation. You got 8 guys, all of you did a great job, fine, but only 3 guys get to move on. And the other guys, you go home. Just like the teams that lose, you go
Right.
home.
Exactly.
You win, you keep going.
Exactly.
Well, I'm a rookie, brand new. I'm not going in, because I'm with some heavyweights,
Right.
some big-time guys. And boy, the third official was Gary Muncy.
Wow.
So I got to go to the regional round, and they sent me the next week to Greensboro, North Carolina. And So I went there and worked. They had 2 games on Friday night, and we had 6 officials there. And then the championship game was on Sunday afternoon at that regional, and there were 4 regionals, around. So I said, well, what have I got to lose? I'm just going to work my butt off and play hard, and I'm just going to do it. Mm-hmm. So I worked hard, brought all 6 officials in after the second game on Friday night, and looked, and he says, well, the top 3 officials get a stay for the championship game on Sunday. And there's my name again. I thought, holy mackerel, what's going on in this world? Excitement. So I stayed, and Sunday I worked the game of St. John's and Pennsylvania, was the regional final. After worked hard, it was a pretty good basketball game. As you know, as officials, some games are easy to work, some games are all work, no play.
Yeah.
But I worked that particular game, and they brought us in afterwards and said, hey, you 3 guys all deserve to go to the NCAA Final Four, but only one of you get to go out of this region. Gary Muncy.
Wow.
My very first year in the NCAA tournament, and I got to go to the Final Four in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All the stars aligned for you.
All the stars, so we were just in the proper place at the proper time. And
But it's also called hard work.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I run, busted. I'm a little fatter now than I was, but anyway, I could run then. And so I got to the Final Four in Salt Lake City, Utah, and of course, I think you guys weren't alive at that time, were you?
What year was it?
79.
She was born in 72.
Why we gotta be?
But anyway,
he was born in
I was
60.
born in 60.
All right,
So
well,
We gotta be telling.
Yeah. So anyway, we went out there, and they had the Final Four. So I worked the game between Indiana State and DePaul on the Saturday afternoon, and it was a great college basketball game. It was one of the easy ones, as you know.
Now, Indiana State, was that when?
Larry Bird.
Really?
Larry
I was
Bird.
gonna say
Yeah.
no.
And
He said 79.
Yeah, because that's the year I actually went to Indiana State in 79. I got there in the
got
fall of 79.
Oh, did you?
Larry Bird graduated in the spring of 79. I got there in the fall.
Yeah.
I went out for the team and I got cut. You got to tell everybody. Twice.
You're
gonna be
2
telling
years.
my age.
Yeah, 2 years. I
But
went out.
anyway, to finish the story a little bit, I was very fortunate, very lucky, and we had 6 officials there. We worked the semifinal game, same procedure. I got all 6 in there and says, here's what's going to happen. The championship game was between Larry Bird and Indiana State and Magic Johnson, Michigan State.
You got that game.
And so I got nominated and was the top official and got to work that particular game.
I am so excited. I'm gonna go and look.
Yeah, go
these
back and look at the
games, 'cause I
archives
want to
now.
see if I can look, find the game.
We interviewed the guy that did top games.
I was a lot skinnier then, and I could run, but yes, I worked that particular game, and that's was the
Was that played that was played in Michigan, wasn't it?
no, it was played at Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh,
Was the
wow.
championship game. They play it on ESPN archives a lot during the NCAA tournament
Okay.
because of Bird and Johnson. So,
And this was in 1979.
79. Yeah.
I have to go back and look that
So,
up because
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 45 years ago.
Wow.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm
incredible.
ancient, and that tells you I'm ancient. But hey,
Yeah,
I'm still young at heart, and I still officiate, like I said, in front of the couch,
Yep.
or in front of the TV and my couch. So
Well, on that note, we got some questions for you. You got to
Sure.
throw some questions at him. Give him a juicy one. See,
I
he's big time.
he
so you gotta give him a
he
really
says
one.
juicy, but I just pulled out some questions. So
fine.
Well, it's been a long time, so maybe he'll get them. He'll probably remember.
these are current and high school. So
Oh,
so
okay.
not the college stuff.
Yeah.
So these are all true false. So you got a 50-50 shot.
Sure.
So just take a guess. The ball is out of bounds if it rolls along the top edge of the backboard without touching any supports. Is that true or false?
False.
You sticking with that?
Oh, wait. Say that again. The ball rolls around. It's still
along
in
the
play.
along the top edge of the backboard
Yeah.
without touching any supports.
Yeah, it's still in play. That's true.
Very good. Ding, 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 ding.
You got it. If he had remembered to bring candy, you would have won a piece of candy.
All right.
Well, you get to touch me. It's the same thing as having candy.
Not really.
It's the same thing.
Not really. All right. The second question I have, Substitute for the offended team may enter the game and attempt the second free throw awarded for a technical foul. Is that true or false?
Good question. I'm going to guess and say it's true.
Ding, ding, ding,
Ding, ding, ding, ding.
That's pure
Yep.
guess.
He does know his stuff.
It is a very good guess. And actually, a lot of people don't realize that I can actually sub someone in to shoot the first one.
Yes.
And then I can sub somebody else in to shoot the second
Yes.
one. So
Sure.
So if there's 6 technicals, you can have 6 players from the bench coming
Yes.
you can have 6 different
in.
people.
6 different people. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
It'd be weird, but
You're testing me on rules, which I haven't read a rule book for ancient.
that tells us they're locked into your DNA. That's what
That's
it tells
right.
us.
and you have enough logic, and you can go back and pull.
Right.
All right, this might be a tricky one. All right, the ball becomes dead, and it is a technical foul when B1 excessively swings his or her elbows.
True.
Well, that's one of the rules they changed.
Okay.
Yeah, because swinging the elbows used to be a technical
Yes,
foul.
used to be. Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
know-
I was going on.
Right, right. And they changed that rule, I don't know how many years ago. So now
It's been a few years since
so
they changed
now
it.
they don't, it's not a technical foul.
Unless you hit somebody.
Unless
Correct.
you make contact.
It's a violation now.
Okay.
And
A violation.
it's a
Okay.
violation, so it's a spot out at the
So you
ball.
get-
Yeah, yeah.
Ball
Point of
out the
interruption.
spot,
That
yeah.
was officials back in the day were very reluctantly called a technical, but it was a rule. It's supposed to be called.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And you really see it a lot more in the younger kids,
Yes.
the girls.
Especially the girls, they get it and they just,
Yes,
because
yeah.
they don't know what else to do. And these are, I was going to pull these out. We got, these are the latest rule books. I don't know if they're the latest. Yeah, they're the latest. Those are what they look like. I'm sure they look a lot different than the
Oh.
rule books that you had back in the day.
Oh yes, big
Yeah.
time.
You
Big
remember,
time.
you remember the funny book? Remember what they call the funny book?
Yeah, yeah.
We've been trying to locate that. It was called I guess it's called the illustration book, technically.
Back then,
But
yeah.
they called it the funny book because it was cartoons drawn
Yeah,
out.
the drawings.
Now
It's like the case book.
Now it's called the case
Oh,
book. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we don't get any funny
They
pictures.
don't get the pictures anymore. Man, that was cool when they had the little pictures they draw. I was like, now I can see the play. Now you got to read it and try to figure out what the heck it's talking about.
Yep.
You got any copies left of the funny book, Gary?
No, I don't. I
Man,
gotta
you're supposed
be
to say
honest
yes.
with
We've
you.
been trying to get
I
one of those
don't.
old-fashioned books for our archives. That was a cost of you coming on the podcast, and you failing the test, Gary.
There I go. Well, hey, win some, lose some.
Yeah. You got another question for
I
him?
have one more question.
Here we go.
This will probably be an easy one for
Yeah.
you. The head coach is responsible for the conduct of all bench personnel. True or false?
Yes, true.
Yep. So I don't know if they changed the rules. So if a head coach gets a technical foul, back in the day, what happened? Did he have the seatbelt rule?
Did he what?
Have the seatbelt rule? Did they have what they call the seatbelt rule?
No, didn't have a seatbelt rule. It was all up to the discretion of the official.
Okay.
But, if he got personal, we nailed him.
Okay.
If he's got generalities like Coach Knight, well, I'd say take that whistle and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. But he was in general all the time. But if he would say, Muncy, you are a pure, you know what? Well, boop, he got personal. We teched him.
And the rule now is if a head coach gets a technical, or if his bench personnel gets a technical, he's got the seatbelt rule automatically. In high
It's
school.
in high school.
High school.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's got
Yeah.
the seatbelt rule automatically.
Automatically.
And that means, so if his assistant coach says something we don't like or something unnecessary,
Personal or
yeah,
Yeah.
unsporting.
and you turn around and tech him, now that affects the head coach.
Sure.
That's a direct to, am I right, it's direct to the assistant and indirect to the head coach? Is that the way it was?
No, it's direct to the coach.
Direct to the coach.
Because he's
Direct to him.
responsible.
Because he's bench personnel.
Yeah, he's responsible for the entire bench.
Yep.
All right.
I think we've got about a minute left, so man, I was having fun. I wish we had more time with you.
I
You
know.
got some stories.
Well,
I would love to
got
delve more into the stories of Bobby Knight and
yeah.
Gene Cady, but
Well, maybe we can get him back because we do have to close out. But thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
very welcome. I enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
more than welcome.
Good.
So for any of those of you that are interested in getting into officiating, as you know, we do have our referee training school, and you can sign up for that through reftrainingschool.com.
Yep.
And then we also have tournaments on Hoosier3on3.com for those that are in 3rd grade through 12th grade, boys and girls. So you can go to those 2 websites and find more information.
No coaching on the Hoosier3on3.com. You can come play, but your parents can't coach. So you get coaches, but I mean, we'll have officials, but no coaching. So with that, go ahead and close out for the day. Gary, again, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so
we
much.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It was fun.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next time on the next segment of RefTime.
RefTime.
Take care, everybody.